Well, let's get you some perspective on that story now. I'm joined live in our Nairobi studios by Mwenda Mbijwe. He's a security expert and analyst on South Sudanese affairs. Mwenda, let's start with President Salva Kiir. He didn't sign the deal, saying he needs more time, but one wonders whether or not there is political will on his side to see lasting peace in South Sudan.
Absolutely. I do not think there is any lack of will on the side of the President of South Sudan, His Excellency President Salva Kiir. But looking at the content of the agreement, it is very important for people to understand what the contents were. The first question should be: was government consulted in the preparation of the content of the agreement? Because the government rejected this principally on about 4 key points, which I could mention quickly. One was that the government was required to demilitarize the city of Juba, remove all military forces from Juba and military embankments and military barracks from Juba. That is recipe for disaster. It's actually these military embankments that actually stopped the rebels in the military coup that was allegedly attempted earlier on. The second clause, which had a lot of problems, was the issue of 2 armies. The agreement says that Riek Machar should command an army and the national government should command an army. This raises a couple of issues. First of all, what's the size of this army? And 2, who will pay for this army? 3, every nation's army has its allegiance to the state, not to the government. So saying that these 2 armies will be there existing, that it means they will be owing their allegiance to the people. And 4th, most important point was that actually is that there were to be 2 states, which is the state of unity, capital is Bentiu, and the state of Upper Nile, capital is Malakal, that Riek Machar will have the upper hand in choosing the governors. Now that is telling, because those 2 states are the most oil-rich states in South Sudan, and determining who their governors would be is giving Riek Machar an upper hand in determining the oil revenues and where they go and how they are spent in that country. And lastly, of course, there was the issue of the size of government that the rebels would be given, 33%. That is a very high percentage to give a rebel movement, which has actually since scattered, and Riek Machar cannot claim to control the rebels anymore.
Well, Mendes, I'm sure you've already seen there have been reports of renewed fighting in South Sudan. It makes it difficult to see how this conflict will come to an end. And in your opinion, what's needed really to bring it to an end, and are sanctions the answer?
Absolutely not. I do not think sanctions will help anything. At this moment, I think then the negotiating teams must be able to lead these 2 sides, the side of the rebel and the government, to an agreement, an amicable agreement, without twisting them, without forcing them, without being seen to favor one side. Because, I mean, it's amazing that Riek Machar already signed this contract, faulty as it is. You wonder what interest that he has in his heart. How can he, as a leader, really sign an agreement, an accord that allows his country to have 2 armies? What if tomorrow he is the president? Would he still want to control a country with 2 armies? So the negotiators here need to play very safe and make sure that the 2 sides agree to the content of the agreement before they sign it. And finally, what is needed to end this is to bring the 2 sides together on a level playing ground without making one feel they lost, what we call a 50-50 or a win-win situation, and make them come to an agreement even before they sign it. If we don't achieve this, South Sudan will still continue to have the issues that they have.
That analysis there from Mwenda Mbijwe, joining us in our Nairobi studio.